Today, we're talking about a case that feels like a classic crime story, but with a terrifyingly modern twist. It's a reminder that even in our digital age, some dangers are as old as time.
That's right, Lisa. Today, we're following the digital trail of a master manipulator, a man who didn't just steal hearts and money. He used the anonymous, complex world of cryptocurrency to make his victims' cash vanish without a trace. We're talking about Charles Uchenna Nwadavid and his million-dollar romance scam.
This case really shows how criminals are using new technologies to hide their tracks. It's not just about a fake online profile anymore, is it?
Not at all. Nwadavid's case is a stark illustration of the evolving nature of financial crime. He didn't just ask for a check or a wire transfer. He used the sophisticated, unregulated world of crypto to launder money and create a financial maze that would make it almost impossible for victims to recover their stolen funds. It's the ultimate digital deception. Imagine receiving a message from someone online. They're charismatic, witty, and their profile paints a picture of a successful professional. Maybe a soldier stationed overseas, a successful businessman, or an engineer. You exchange messages, then phone calls, and over time, you fall in love. You feel a genuine connection with this person, even though you've never met.
It's that classic romance scam playbook. They build the trust, they create the illusion of a relationship.
Exactly. But in this case, the story takes a dark turn. After months of grooming, the requests for money begin. It's a fabricated emergency, a hospital bill for a sick relative, a business opportunity that needs a small, quick investment, or a legal crisis that requires urgent funds. You're in love, so you help. But the way they ask you to send the money is unusual. Not to a bank account, but to an address for a cryptocurrency exchange.
Cryptocurrency? So they're getting victims to send their money into this digital currency they don't understand?
Precisely. For 6 victims across the United States, this was a multi-million-dollar reality. The man they believed was their lover was actually Charles Uchenna Nwadavid, a 35-year-old Nigerian national who used this advanced scheme to steal over $2.5 million between 2016 and September 2019. It wasn't just a crime of the heart. It was a sophisticated financial operation built on a foundation of emotional lies. The victims in this case weren't a single demographic. They were individuals across the country, all with one thing in common: a desire for love and companionship. A key aspect of Nwadavid's scheme, and one that makes this case so complex, is that he didn't just prey on one type of victim. He created a money mule, a secondary victim, to help him launder the funds.
A money mule. What exactly does that mean?
It's a particularly deceptive tactic. One of his victims, a resident of Massachusetts, was groomed to a point where she not only sent her own money, but was also manipulated into receiving funds from 5 other victims across the country. She believed she was helping her lover, who might have claimed he couldn't receive money directly for some seemingly legitimate reason, like being in the military or facing legal issues.
So she was being used as a middleman, unknowingly.
Yes, Nwadavid tricked her into believing she was part of the scheme's solution, not an unwitting accomplice. He would then instruct her to convert her own money and the money from the other 5 victims into cryptocurrency. From there, she would transfer the crypto to his accounts.
This is where it gets really murky. He's not just victimizing people for their money, he's also creating a layer of legal jeopardy for them. She could have faced charges herself.
That's exactly the insidious nature of this. This technique complicates the financial trail, making it much harder for law enforcement to follow the money back to the original scammer. It also puts the money mule, a secondary victim, in a terrible position of having to prove their innocence and face the potential of legal repercussions for unknowingly participating in a criminal enterprise. It's a double victimization. The criminal activity for Nwadavid spanned over 3 years, from 2016 to September 2019. During this period, he was operating from overseas, likely from Nigeria, using fake online personas to engage with his victims. He would cultivate these relationships for months or even years before making the financial demands.
And the request for money would be for a specific purpose, right? It wasn't just send me money.
That's right. The scam was layered with a believable story. The most significant part of the scheme was the use of cryptocurrency. After a victim was convinced to send money, Nwadavid would instruct them to transfer the funds to a cryptocurrency account, often through the money Mule. He would then access this account from his location overseas to transfer the funds to accounts he controlled, specifically on platforms like local bitcoins. This use of cryptocurrency was a game changer. Digital currencies are designed for obfuscation and international transfer, making it incredibly difficult for investigators to trace and recover funds. It added a layer of anonymity that traditional wire transfers or bank accounts don't have.
So for the victims, the money wasn't just gone, it was untraceable into the digital ether.
In many cases, yes. The lack of a central authority and the speed of these transactions make it a perfect tool for money laundering. It's a significant challenge for law enforcement, and it highlights a major loophole that these international criminal enterprises are exploiting. The investigation into Nwadavid's scheme was a complex, painstaking process. It required specialized digital forensics capabilities and international cooperation. The FBI's Boston division, led by Special Agent in Charge Ted E. Dox, played a critical role. They had to untangle the financial web Nwadavid had so carefully constructed.
It must have been like following a ghost through a digital maze. How did they finally catch him?
The breakthrough came when they were able to connect his overseas activity back to him. The investigation culminated in an indictment in January 2024. Then, the real stroke of luck happened. Nwadavid, perhaps underestimating the reach of U.S. law enforcement, was arrested on April 7, 2025, after arriving at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport on a flight from the United Kingdom.
So he was caught because he physically entered the United States. That's a huge break for investigators.
A massive break. His arrest allowed the FBI to finally put a face to the name and bring him to court. He was brought to federal court in Boston, where he was formally charged. With the evidence mounted against him, the financial trails, the communication records, the testimony of victims, the case was solid. On June 25, 2025, in federal court in Boston, Charles Uchenna Nwadavid pleaded guilty to all charges. He admitted his role in the scheme, which included mail fraud, aiding and abetting money laundering, and money laundering.
So he didn't fight it. He admitted what he did.
He did. His guilty plea was a significant victory for the prosecution, and more importantly, for his victims. It meant they wouldn't have to endure the trauma of a full trial. U.S. Attorney Leah B. Foley praised the work of the FBI and the prosecution team in securing the plea. Nwadavid's sentencing is now scheduled for September 23, 2025. He faces substantial penalties for his crimes. The mail fraud charge alone carries a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison, and the money laundering charges could add another 20 years. He also faces significant fines, restitution, and forfeiture.
Frank, this case is a clear warning about the intersection of human vulnerability and new technology. What should our listeners take away from this story?
First and foremost, we have to recognize that romance scams are not just about emotional manipulation. They are increasingly tied to sophisticated financial crime networks. The use of cryptocurrency by Nwadavid is a prime example of this. It's a massive challenge for law enforcement and for victims seeking to recover their funds.
And it's not just about losing money. It's about being used to commit a crime yourself, like the money mule.
Absolutely. This case highlights a critical need for public awareness campaigns to specifically warn against becoming a money mule. You should never transfer money on behalf of someone you've only met online, no matter how much you trust them or how legitimate the story sounds. If someone asks you to do this, it's a massive red flag.
It's about protecting yourself from becoming a secondary victim.
Exactly. And for law enforcement, this case underscores the need for enhanced international cooperation and more robust regulatory frameworks for cryptocurrency exchanges. These digital platforms can be a powerful tool for good, but they are also being exploited by criminals. We need to close those loopholes.
It's a new frontier in crime, and we have to be vigilant, both as individuals and as a society.
A new frontier indeed, and the best defense remains old-fashioned caution. If it sounds too good to be true, if they're asking for money in an unusual way, especially through crypto, it's time to take a step back and talk to someone you trust.